All right, I'm out here with Coach Byron. This is the 4th year in a row PA Today's out at the top 150 210s camp. Never going to miss it. Byron, brought you on. I want to talk to you about a few things, but to start, how do you think the camp went today?
I think the camp went great. We had a lot of success, I think, for some of our guys. So the older group, some of the bigger name guys who already committed, you know, the Charles Butlers and the Luke Browns and stuff like that, you know, they weren't here to show out. But the young guys look really good. That's what I was really impressed with. We had a very competitive older group today as well. And we got to give more guys opportunity. I mean, that's what this camp's about. It's about giving guys opportunity to be seen. We want some of the best in their area. Of course, we have guys that come out of town. So it always works out really well. I always say this, I think this camp is a little different than most because, like, we don't get too much of the testing. We don't do any testing or anything like that. We do a quick indie and we let the kids compete, and it really is kind of like a celebration of all the off-season work and stuff like that. Everybody goes back with their teams and go away for the season. So.
Who are some guys that impressed you today with their performance?
Oh, there was a ton. Amon Struthers was a good one. He played in both groups today, won the MVP for the younger guys. I think Elvis Bethea did everything we expected him to do. He was very dominant today. Jameer Eggleston looked really good. I think he was a very close second for the offensive line MVP. Mello out of Avonworth. I mean, his get-off was really good. There was a lot of guys, man. There's a lot of guys. And that's what I love about this is you get some of the best guys that we all get to see, we all get to watch, and we just put them in the arena together and kind of let them get after it. But there's a lot of guys who did well. Roman Levy, Seton LaSalle, he did awesome.
Really
left with the MVP
me, yeah.
for the older guys offensively. But no, I mean, it was a really good camp. Keith Young, of course, he could have won MVP for both sides. I think he is the best. I think he's the best uncommitted prospect in one of the best. One of the best uncommitted linemen, I'll say. The best uncommitted lineman in the WPIAL right now. So I expect him to have a big season and blow up. He likes to stay under the radar. That's kind of his game. That's kind of his thing. He just sits at home and develops. But he looked really good. Shows all he'd been working. You know, I mean, away in the lab, just working. And like I said, he was the best. He was the best out here by far.
Been asking everybody I do this with. It's no secret the transfers are up this year. The WPIAL hammered down on that first rolling. We've been talking on the phone about this for a few months now. Can you tell the people your perspective on all this?
My perspective as an adult who works, I mean, I'm in this field to help the youth. I think that we should be doing what's best for the youth. I understand the competitive balance aspect that they are saying that they're having, but there's not a balance of resources when we talk about a school. So if we're going to be competitive balancing wise, then there should be a limit in resources. How many trainers you're going to have, how many this you're going to have, how many that you have. I understand it goes by taxes and whatnot and everything that works, but what I see parents and kids trying to put their kids in the best position to be successful. And me as a parent, that's what I'm going to do. I think on the parents' end is just understanding the rules a little better, of course, because those are the rules. But I do think we just need a change in them, and we need to reevaluate, like, how are we helping the kids or how are we hurting the kids? Because the reality is, like, not even from just a resource standpoint, but just from the standpoint of, like, how serious some football programs are in comparison to others. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you can. I mean, that's a big thing with 210s does. Like we help those kids who may not be at the most football.
Kind of levels the playing field.
We do our best to do so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We do our best to do so. There's kids who won't be exposed because of the schools they go to. There's kids who will be overexposed because of the schools they go to. You know what I mean? So I think, I'm not a fan of the transfer rule. Everybody wants the kids to just play in their hometown, but nothing else do that. Like when you go to the job field, people travel. I live in the city. People travel on other ends of the city to go to work.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If you live in Pine Richland, I mean, you're going to work in Pine Richland. So I do think we need to reevaluate the rules. I understand, we don't want what I think we're seeing in the NCAA right now where kids are just bouncing around and stuff like that. But I think we need to put something in place that's set and it makes sense. Because there's a couple transfers I think that don't make too much sense that got denied. But we're going to see what moves forward. But I'm a big advocate of the kids and their families and doing what's best for the kids' futures. And I think that's what the WPIAL is missing right now. But that's my take.
It's very early on, but can you just name a couple WPIAL teams that you're looking forward to, because they might not have been great over the past few years, but they're really taking a step forward. Is there any teams in mind?
I think we're all looking forward to Ringgold right now.
Yeah.
Ringgold, Silas Miller looked really good today. I know they did pretty good in the 7-on-7 couple that you guys were at with last week, 2 weeks ago.
They won it.
I think that's a team that we're not expecting to be good, and I know a couple players over there. I know what they can do. I've seen things they can do. It's kind of been exposed now, and it's a pretty good program. I think we're all interested to see what West Allegheny does. It might not be this year, but in the next coming years, I think they're all going to be a pretty good program.
Yeah.
And of course, you got the big dogs that everybody sees. I think the one that's in silence right now that I'm excited to see, maybe not even just this year, but next year, is NA. I'm very curious what's going on.
They're building.
Yeah, I'm sure they are building. Yeah. I'm sure they are building. You know, Fran always puts together a good program with Propel Braddock and, you know, what they got going over there. They had a really good lineman today that played, 3 really good linemen, but the one that really stuck out to us today that played pretty well. So there's a few out there, and this is always the fun part of the season. We get to make our predictions on what we see here, what we like there, but I've seen some things, so I'm excited.
I'll put one on camera. Team that I think, you know, they used to be a predominant power in the WPIAL. I think Gateway's going to have something to say this year. Strong quarterback, freshman heading into sophomore year, 2 Division I offers, and you know, being around, it's not easy to get quarterback offers early.
No, it's not.
They got a kid running a real 4.3 in Jaden Stammer. I mean, they got burners, and I think, you know, they're going to be able to do something this year. You know, I think they had to get over the Birch era, the Kenny Lewis era, the Reynolds, all those guys, because they had them for so long, from like 10th to 12th grade, they were always there. I think Gateway, Coach Don Hall does a fabulous job over there. I think they're going to creep in this year.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what they look like up front.
They
lost a couple of really predominant linemen in Bandy, and Senna in June, but I'm very curious to see what Gateway got going on there.
Yeah. We were just talking about the Seton LaSalle line. Levy had a hell of a day out here today. And across the board, like, Tim thinks they could compete in higher classifications. What's your take on that offensive line?
I agree. I've seen Levy for the last 4 years, and I'm very proud of the way he's developed. I think he's a kid where, you know, I think we look at kids, and of course, when we play, it's a big height thing. But you can get yourself to where if you get to close to that level, that you can move yourself up. It may not be 2 levels up, 3 levels up, but I think today he solidified that he is at the next level from what he's probably guesstimated to be at. And I've talked to a couple of college coaches about his camp, and he's had a really good camp season. So that's a kid I'm really proud of. I love Ray. I mean, he's aggressive, really raw player, but he's the type of kid, and I'm going to be one of those old school guys. I think he could have played in my era. You know what I mean? I think he could have played in my era before concussion protocol and stuff like that. He's a very aggressive player. I love Landon France. Landon France has a Division I frame. I think he's a little bit raw still and kind of understand the game and what he can do with his body. Brody Dilla was out here. He was pretty aggressive. And again, those are 4 guys that I've seen be very competitive. I'm sure they got a couple more over there that I don't know about, but I mean, I could put a pretty good line together with those 4.
We were bouncing this question around earlier. If you had to pick one coach in the WPIAL to play for, take him back to high school, who would you pick?
Had to pick one coach in the WPIAL to play for. Oh, to play for.
And, you know, maybe talk about why.
I gotta go with my man Mike Warfield. I mean, he's been. I think I've been very open about him being my favorite coach in the WPIAL over the years, and I think just what he can do, and you can tell how much the kids care about him, and he motivates those kids. I just think he could do something for me. And I had a good coach. I'm not taking anything away from my coach. I think he could have just taken me to a step higher. You know what I'm saying? I think some kids need to see what's going on around them, and he's not shy from letting them know that and just being real with those guys. So I think Coach Warfield's a guy that I definitely would have ran through a wall for. One coach I'm excited for over at West Allegheny, Coach Palco. He's another coach. Just had a conversation with him a couple weeks ago at the Joe Moore, and just talking to him gets me hyped about football. You know what I mean? He's excited and bringing that back. And like I said, over the next couple of years, I think we're talking about West Allegheny being one of those better programs. Of course, you got LaDon here at Pine Richland. He's a great coach, and he understands the development of players and just what he brings a good culture. I mean, he brings a good culture everywhere he goes. I've had the opportunity to coach against him a bunch of times and sit down and chat with him. But I think that's what we are blessed with here in the WPIAL is there are some really good coaches out here. Coach Fran, I mean, the swag that Coach Fran brings. And I think that me as a kid, that would have meshed well because I was a lineman, you know, he liked to have my tape and my shoes and stuff like that. And he really embodies that and stuff like that. Like we are very fortunate here in the WPIAL to have the coaches that we do, and I think the parents can see that.
Is there a team, like a program, in your opinion, as a lineman that would be the most fun to play for, the way that they play, the way they run the ball, and everything else?
What team would be the best?
As an offensive lineman, I want to ask a former offensive lineman, you know, looking at
the
whole
two
thing.
that come to mind is Peters Township. I think their offensive line coach does a really good job.
He does.
When you see on a consistent basis, they've been one of the better offensive lines year to year. And I don't think people realize that they're going to, again, I think in my opinion, be one of the better offensive lines out here. And they don't really have too much in the public eye. It's hard not to say Central Catholic. I mean, they always have the big dogs out there. You know you're going to compete. I coach there, of course. And almost any 6A program, because you just know on Friday nights you're going to strap it up and play a big guy. 5A programs too. I mean, here Pine Richland will be a good one. North Allegheny always develops some really good offensive linemen. So for me, I would love to be at a place that you just, and that's why I tell the kids, like, you want to be at a place where you're going to be developed. You know what I mean? And if you're not, then you want to go out your way to find someone who's going to develop you. Because it's really hard to, I think we're in an era in offensive line where it's changed so much that we're kind of getting into it. And you got some guys that are old school, and I'm not saying it doesn't work. It does work. You got some guys who are too new school, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I like to tread the line because I think that, I think the mindset and the culture of the old way is very important. But I think just some of the techniques that we do now is more efficient for the body biomechanically.
So you just talked about it. You spoke with Bob Palco a few weeks ago. They're now up in 5A. They're in 4A anymore. You said 2-3 years. Is that what you think the time frame is? You think that program is going to be back to where it was? Yeah,
I mean, I was at Central Catholic when he did what he did with Mount Lebo. I can remember the first time we played them. I mean, the first year he took the program over. I think we took the breaks off of them for 2 games. The very next year we split them 1-1. They beat us in the regular season. We beat them in the postseason. And that year that they went to the state championship, they beat us both games, and they beat the brakes off of us. So I see something similar. It may take them a little bit longer, it may not. The big thing is, like, it's a culture. Like, that's a man who builds a great culture. And like I said, just sitting there talking to him, I talked to him for maybe like 10 minutes, you know what I mean? And I just enjoying the conversation. And I got a chance to see him. We were at Penn State last year for a visit. And again, like, he is just he's infectious. And I've talked to the kids at Penn State and how much they love him. I mean, like, that is a coach's name that you hear a lot from Penn State guys who were up there with him. You hear, of course, Terry Smiths. Of course, everybody knows Jane Franklin, the head coach. But Coach Palco was there, and his presence was definitely felt.
Another big move. Eric Kasparovich leaves Mars and goes to North Hills. We talked about it. How quick do you think that happens over there?
I think he's the same, man. I like the North Hills move for him better than the Mars. I think
it's his home.
That's one. Yeah. It makes life a little easier for you leaving. And just being closer to the city, I hate to say it, but I think ball's a little more potent closer to the city. You have kids who are doing more. I mean, a lot of the best trainers in the Pittsburgh area, we're all close to the city or in the city. So you'll get kids who are doing the extra work. You'll get kids who are really committed to football, and they're almost like indulged in football. I give him a lot of credit from what he did out here in Pine Ridge because it is so removed. I think Mars may have been just a little too far removed where you're kind of just with yourselves. Like, the thing that makes things nice about the beauty of Pittsburgh football that I think people undervalue is how much the kids have relationships with each other. I spoke to a coach today from Bloomsburg, and he said, what impresses me is to see how much the kids support each other. So you'll see kids from rival high schools shout each other out because of offer. They just got our commitment and stuff like that. And he was like, we don't see that where I'm at. So I think what happens is, like, you get too many people who get stuck in their own bubble, and they don't realize that the world is bigger than Mars. The world's bigger than Pine Ridge, and the world's bigger than North Allegheny. You know what I'm saying? And you need to kind of diversify to find good competition and compete against each other. So I think down in North Hills, we'll have more kids who are doing things and competing against other players to be able to build that, and we'll start to see the culture shape up. They had a very good defensive end come out here today. Looked really, really good. Really quick off the edge. A little bit raw, going to use his hands a little bit better, but I mean, I can already see you got kids like that. He's going to buy into the program, and he's going to build from there.
So right now in 6A, there's a monopoly at the top. Central Catholic has that. How would you suggest, or in your opinion, how would you do it to knock them off? Because it's not going to happen in 1 year. You're going to have to build a program over the next 3-4 years to get there. What's the stepping stones to get to that point?
It starts up front. I think Central Catholic has hit a lottery, of course, with Jimmy John, James, and now you have Elvis who's blooming really well. Roman Maurizio is blooming really well.
So you got 5 guys.
You got 5 Power 4 golfers, guys. That doesn't happen every year, even at a place like that.
No.
And I think even the last time something like that happened, I think it was talking about 10, 11 years ago.
Long
you know what
time.
I'm saying? So
Decade,
I think it got to start up front. You got to build that culture of beating them up front and being able to pound the ball, being able to stop the run. And then on top of it, when you have guys like Owen out there, and Oliver out there, you know what I'm saying, guys like that, like, you got to be good skill-wise. You know what I mean? Make sure that we stop the big plays, stuff like that. But it's something that takes time, and right now I think they're just kind of on their run. It'll be very interesting to see what happens next year when they lose the big 3 up there. And again, they have 2 guys that I think, again, are Power 4 players, so they'll do really well for them. But I'm sure another kid will pop up at Central Catholic, like typical, you know what I mean? A young guy will come in and step up, but it'll be interesting.
Who do you think's the one team in 6A that can, because I told people Barclay did a really good job at Seneca Valley last year. Mount Lebanon's under a new coach now. it's in North Allegheny. They're always going to be there. You know they're building. Who do you think has the best chance to, make some noise in 6A? Because it's wide open other than Central.
I've coached against Art Walker way too much to deny that man. I think there's even a chance he could do it this year. He is a guy who could just really outcoach you. Like we have went into NA years with better teams and we got outcoached. That year we played St. Joe's state championship, we lost. St. Joe's our second loss, NA was our first. And it was strictly from coaching. Like we all went back to the locker room and we were like, no, we definitely got outcoached. So he's a guy that any given year you can get it. Like I said, I think next year gets very interesting. When Central loses the big three, no one really knows what's going on in NA, and I think he likes it that way and he keeps it that way for a reason. But I wouldn't be surprised next year to see NA and Central Catholic in the championship with a nail biter.
For sure. I appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely. Always good.